there everyone! So as you can tell, I made it back to Split last night. Yesterday I ended my 4-day, 3-night through hike, which ended up taking me from the town of Croatia, just north of Split, to the town of Mimice. I covered a total of 26 miles, which is really not a lot to cover in 4 days, but it was a really easygoing hike. It was just such an amazing last-minute thing to do. A combination of things that just came together, and then several days of good weather, which held out even longer than it was supposed to. I was supposed to only have 2 days without rain, and I ended up having a full 4 days with no rain, which was really awesome. It's getting windier, and it looks like it's going to start raining here soon. But I'm filming this from my favorite tree in Split, where I come and plop myself down and meditate and sort through things and people watch and stuff. That's the tree. And in front of me I have the water right there, which is just nice. And behind me, this turns into a Christmas market. But anyway, so in this video, yesterday in the morning I geeked out a bit with all my gear. So in the comment section of the video I'll put in the timestamps for all the different parts. If you're interested in gear or not, you can watch that. And then I basically spent half the day just taking in the mountains and meditating, and it was really nice. And then walked down about 4 miles to the town of Mimice and took a bus back to Split. Had my celebratory hamburger and beer at the end of the hike, and at the end of the video I throw in a little bit of Old Town Split, which is really cool. Old Town Split's basically located in Diocletian's old palace and the surrounding area, so you've got a lot of really cool Roman ruins and columns and stuff like that. So I show you a little bit of Split at the end, along with introducing you to Arthur, who is the hostelcat at Old Town Hostel, which is where I'm currently volunteering, and I'll be through until just after Christmas, if plans don't change, which they always can, but that's the current plan. Good morning, people. I'm still not yet human, but it's now or never for this kind of thing. Last night was probably the last night I'm gonna have camped out this year. Might as well show the inside of the tent. So it's very spacious, as you can see. I basically have, well, you have the one end that is wider than the other end quite a bit, and it's very long. So I'm 5'6" in height, and I have a whole section over here where I can store things and then sleep. So for sleeping I have 3 layers. The first layer that I jump into is the Seat to Summit Thermalite reactor. I have the Compact Plus. It is a bit short, so it doesn't extend around my head. I'm sure the longer one could. It's got a drawstring that I've never used because it's just not long enough for me, and I haven't really needed it. And then over top of that, I use this down liner, which could also function as its own sleeping bag. It's the Seat to Summit Spark. Yeah, you can see the specs there. This is probably the most expensive piece that I have. It was probably I think it was a little bit more than what I paid for the tent. Around $250, something like that. But it packs up super duper tiny, and it's actually the warmest of the 3 layers. And then the top layer is the Marmot Voyager 55. It's bulkier than this liner, but since it's synthetic, I use it on the outside since it handles moisture better and to protect the downliner. So yeah, I jump into this first and then pull this over, and then sometimes I've used this as a blanket and just stick my feet. It's mummy, so I'll zip it all the way down, stick my feet in this end, and then use it as a blanket if it's not that cold, or I'll just sleep inside it and zip it up too. This one is long enough, and I have zipped it over my head on colder nights. And then my sleeping mat is the Etherlight XT insulated women's. One of the best things about this is that it has a pump sack, which I'll demo maybe in another video, but this pulls out and turns into a pump sack. So literally in 3 breaths with the pump sack, I can get this thing filled up. I have a weird thing that happens to me on here, and it's that when I sleep on my side, oftentimes the circulation will get cut from my arm. That didn't happen on the climate. I'm so bad with pronouncing these things. That I used in Hawaii. This is a bit lighter, and it's a nicer mat, but I don't know if it's just because I have very broad shoulders and the way this is textured, it does that. Someone else who used it said that they didn't have that problem, but for me, it's just annoying, and I keep having to shift during the night because I'm a side sleeper. I never managed to sleep on my back. Sometimes on my belly. And then my pillow is this Trekology. I need to wash it. It was just a cheap one I found on Amazon. Nothing fancy, but it blows up. And yeah, it doesn't. This has a lock system, a pillow lock system with Seat to Summit pillows, but I don't have one, and I'm not sure how that works. I haven't tried. So with these 3 layers, I'm good for right around freezing temperatures, and it's fine. Last night, I burned my last hand warmers in my socks. These guys. I burned 2 of them because when else are you going to use them? So I had toasty feet. That's probably the thing that annoys me the most, is that my whole body can be warm, but my toes will be cold. So these things, you basically just take them out of the bag and they react to oxygen. So you just pull them out and put them anywhere and they get warm, and they are still warm. So I'm gonna keep using them because it's chilly out today. It said it was gonna have showers this morning, but I'm glad it hasn't. Probably gonna hurry up and pack up so that while my tent is dry, I pack it. Oh yeah, and speaking of wet tent, these are the mold spots. Well, I think they're mold spots that came up. They don't really scratch off. Little bits might scratch off. And then also in the tape, this wasn't here before, and there are these lighter ones here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's mold. So, yeah, don't store your tent with a wet footprint. That was stupid. I was kind of not planning to stop camping, and I didn't have like a come home. I kept on moving, so I just never took the time to find a spot to take it out. So, oh, she's been a lovely, lovely tent. It's done such a good job. I'm so happy. So much space. The only complaint I have, well, it's not really a complaint, it's just a feature, is that it's not very aerodynamic. So in the wind, it flops around a lot. But otherwise, oh, she's a beauty. And here they are, all packed up. So the Marmot has this handy stuff sack built into the bag, so I just add the thermalate liner to the top so that it squishes together and also gets stuffed. This is just unbelievably tiny and light. It's 230 grams, something like that, which is like unbelievable. This is the sleeping mat, the mattress you blow up. It is bigger than I would like. I've seen other ones that are just smaller, and it takes up more space in my pack than I want, but it's what I got. So I think for next season I'll probably swap that one out for something else, and then the pillow right here. So yeah, that's my whole sleeping set all stuffed up. Overnight, I leave my shoes outside underneath my backpack rain cover because for a long time I was waking up and they were wet, and I was trying to figure out a way to keep them from getting wet. I could put them in a dry bag, but this was just a quick solution, and it's been working so far. So this is my pitch from last night. I attached the guy lines, which I don't usually do because since it was getting windy, I wasn't sure how bad it would get. So as you can see, each corner there's the stake that goes to the base, then extends from the corner, and then this one, which the guy line, which is not completely necessary, just extra support. In rocky ground, what I've seen people do is add a rock to give extra stability because this front and back stakes are super important. So since I wasn't getting a firm anchor, I added this and we're good. These hiking poles are actually a bit shorter than the recommended. Gossamer Gear says to use a 125 centimeter hiking pole, and this one's 120 centimeter. It doesn't extend to 125 because that was the cheap one, and from having used the tent before, I was pretty sure it would be okay, and it was fine. And actually, I forgot to extend this one to the full 120 centimeters. So the front one's actually only 115 centimeters, and it was also fine. So the height is pretty flexible. From what I can tell, something shorter works all right. And yeah, the front I had a good grip, so it was just the stake here. So yeah, I'm gonna take her down. Another thing worth mentioning is that I fiddled a bit with the string that goes across, that comes off the front of the tent. What do you call them? The flaps that come out in the front. They were not always staying taut, so I adjusted this to make it longer, shorter, and also because the adjustment down here is for when it's clipped in. But yeah, so I haven't figured out quite what the secret sauce of making this front string work is, but I just kept playing with it until I found a length that worked for me, and then yeah, it was fine. So I did pull it in maybe that much because it was pretty much at the end, maybe like 2 inches or so, 2.5 inches. I pulled it in. That was such a nice little campsite. It was perfect. Shelter from the wind, nice view on the one side, and then the sea on the other side. Really windy on this side. Wow. Didn't feel it at all. Didn't feel it at all, at all. I always find it emotional leaving a campsite. Like, it doesn't get easier. It's like everywhere is home, nowhere is home, and you just, I don't know, I just find I take a liking to a spot and I want to stay. Cute little yeah. So today I'm not gonna keep covering ground because the trail basically goes down and then along the coast for a while, And I have some meditating and inner work to do, some stuff to just sort through inside, and I'm just gonna enjoy. Oh my god. Oh, I'm just gonna enjoy being up. Find a spot to sit down and spend a couple hours doing that, meditating, deciding, going through what's coming next, getting my whole self in the right place, I guess. Aligning, yeah, all that. And then I'll go down. The trail works its way down to the coast, and then I'll grab a bus back to Split at some point in the afternoon. So yeah, that's the loose plan. And oh god, it's just, I cannot. It's never enough. It's never enough. So this was my tree for the past 3 hours. It was really nice. But now it's almost 4, and I'm like, oh geez, it's gonna get dark. So I've got a mile to zigzag down to the next town, pretty steep, and once I'm there I'm not too worried because it's all roads and I have my headlamp, and so I don't mind walking a few miles in the dark. But it has been so nice, quite chilly, very relaxing. I put my butt on a tree and it just neutralizes a lot of stuff and helps process things. So, oh, bittersweet moment. It's like, this is the end. Not forever, just for this year, but it's the happy sad of many beautiful moments. Oh, and how much I've changed since August, when I started hiking in Hungary. I started August 14th. Hiked August, September, October, almost 2 months in Hungary. And then almost 3 weeks in Croatia on the CLDT. And then kind of meandering. And now just these 4 days are like, wow, I've learned a lot. Contrasting how I did these 4 days versus how I started out, or even how I ended in Croatia. Oh god, it's good. It's good stuff. This is a beautiful walking path. God, they make this slope just so easy to walk. It zigzags all the way down. Like this. It's all zigzaggy. Cool. It's like a massive undertaking to make this path. I like it. And we made it to, I think this is the outskirts of Gorica. Gorica, looks like. That's where we're at right now. Okay, made it to a road, which now they can get dark and we're okay. I haven't actually looked for buses yet. I did, but from a different point. And I can always hitch if I need to. Bye. Hey, Arthur. Hey, Arthur. How you doing, buddy? Hi. Oh, hello. Is this one of your corners? Is this one of your spots? I know I kicked you out earlier. You were being a bad boy. Yeah. I know you want the cuddles. Yeah. That is Arthur, our hostel cat, who is like a person trapped in a cat's body and has many stories to tell. But, we can't hear you. Oh, string. Oh, string. Oh, string. Yes, you got it.
Da je on kao ono sa tajnim službama i ono za mora Perkovića da je u njemu.
Special thanks to everyone who has followed me all this way. It's been a fun journey and it's nice to bring you along. And stay tuned. I'll be putting out some more hostel life and holidays at Old Town and Outlanders Tribe Hostel in Split in the upcoming week or so. So, see you then.